Miguel Gamino, thank you very much for joining us today. You are the Chief Technology Officer for the City of New York. Let's start with technology and NYCx. I think for those within the tech community, this probably means quite a bit, but let's bring people in. Let's talk about NYCx. What is the program? What are the goals? And who are the partners of NYCx?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. I think it's really important to take advantage of these opportunities to share the story. To your point that some of us on the inside of this work take it for granted, that we know where we're trying to go with this and how we intend to use technology to serve people, but to take advantage of every forum to share that story and help bring other people along to the goals and objectives of it is really important. And so I really genuinely thank you and the team for helping us do that. NYCx, really exciting. World's first, as far as we can tell, municipal program of its type, really focused on engaging the tech industry and the community to help better inform the technology that's developed in a way that makes sure it's serving the needs of people on the ground, you know, in their real everyday lives, not just what some really bright technologists might think people need from the distance of a laboratory somewhere, but really engaging, you know, feet on the ground in the neighborhoods, in the priority discussions for the administration for things that are really important to the city as a whole, and making sure that we're, you know, properly challenging the tech community to help us solve some of those problems.
How does NYCx work with equity building and bringing technology, and not just technology, but access to technology to the entire city?
So there's a couple things. So we've got a kind of a challenge program that focuses on solving problems from two angles. One that we call moonshot challenges really focus on the citywide objectives that the mayor and the administration have for New York City. And the other is kind of the grassroots element or version of that. We call them collabs, and they start in the neighborhoods, and they start with the questions that surface the priorities of those neighborhoods, not focused on technology or the technical approach to a solution at all from the beginning. It's just surfacing what are those issues. In both cases, that manifests in the form of a challenge that's issued to the industry that helps solve those things. And the reason this really comes back to equity is, you know, really proud of the focus my boss, Mayor de Blasio, has on really making sure that we do everything we can to make New York City the fairest big city in America. That's the mantra going right now. He was very clear about that in State of the City, that all of us working in this administration should ask ourselves, how is our work forwarding that goal? And so having built NYCx in many ways in advance of such a specific announcement of the focus, really proud that we were already there, because we were already having conversations with the community about what is it that concerns you and is important to you, and then bringing technology as a tool to accomplish those things. And so all that comes together in the form of, we're focused on things the community is asking for, we're focused on administrative priorities or administration priorities that accomplish this fairness goal, and we're bringing technology to the table as a tool to forward those concerns. So at the end of it all, we're mobilizing technology to accomplish equity and inclusion and ultimately, you know, this fairness goal by virtue of starting the conversation from there, and not starting the conversation from what is the widget you have or what is the technology you have, and let me see how it might apply to this goal. We are just changing the structure of the narrative, plain and simple.
So are there examples or particular stories or anecdotes that you've heard from the community that articulate specific needs? And what are some of those specific community needs?
Yeah, so you know, the first neighborhood level engagement or activation has occurred in Brownsville, Brooklyn, a neighborhood that I'm relatively new to New York, but it didn't take me long to understand the challenges that are being faced in Brownsville. And through those community conversations, sometimes facilitated by us, other times facilitated by the community itself, a couple things emerged. One was they needed a better way to deal with waste management, in particular in public spaces, but also specifically in public housing that is very prevalent in Brownsville. And the other was this notion of nighttime safety on what would otherwise be busy corridors, business corridors at night. And so having surfaced those issues, we presented both of those priorities as collab challenges to the industry, or to the tech community at large, I should say. And we've had tremendous feedback. We're still going through that process, so we're still in the stage of identifying kind of the finalists and then moving to the next step. But this stuff is moving very quickly. I think it's also important just to point out that the whole NYCx program just launched in mid-October last year. And so in just a few months, we've already launched 4 challenges of significance that have seen over, I think, 150 responses. One of those challenges on Governor's Island, we've already announced the finalists, and we're moving kind of down to the next step of demonstration. In the case of Brownsville, we're not yet at the finalist selection, but we're really close. So the pace is happening very quickly. I would venture to guess that that speed is probably not what one would expect of a government organization to identify, articulate, and work on responses to such significant challenges so quickly. I think is also a really important part of the equity piece, because these questions are relevant to people right now. So if we can respond kind of at the right pace, then we're addressing the issue in a timely way also. If we take too long, then those needs change over time, or priorities change over time, and we might not be, by the time we get to it, responding to the really kind of urgent issue.
And it's a great example of government moving at the speed of technology and really responding to the needs of the people who live in New York City.